Morning, officer.
Maybe this is the pot calling the kettle black. This guy thinks he's a genius and he's a moron.
Oh, this is live.
Think of like the dumbest cave troll let you know.
You looked right at me when you said that.
You're not the dumbest.
Here are the facts as I see them.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bandit Radio Hour. It is September 18th, 2022. As we just found out, it is in fact Sunday. My mind's been a blur recently with all the work. Merce came to work with me, helped me work some calves and cows. And I've been doing it on days he hasn't come to work with me. But we are actually in his trailer in a new location, which is, another 15 feet back to the north?
Gotta keep him guessing.
Yes, with a aluminum roof. No, not aluminum, tin. Right?
Yeah, it still helps them keep from reading my brain.
Yeah, okay. It keeps the satellites from reading us all the time, even though they can just listen to the audio. Which, hey, Saudi Arabia, why are you downloading us so much? I'm just curious. That's neat. That's interesting. Get back to me on that. Anyways, let me think. Well, how's this week been in Florida? Merce, how's our Black Action Weather News Report? How's it been going, Merce?
There's been a lot of rain.
Dude, it's been so much rain. It's oh my God. We had to move cows to get them out of the rain, and there's just more rain. Whenever we put up the horses when we were done, coming out of our cow pens where we let our horses out, there was literally a current flying by our feet like in shin deep water, and we were on the high ground.
It's basically a field of manatees.
How
a bunch
many
of sea cows.
What was your... Damn you. It's not even every episode. It's like every 5 minutes of every episode. I like it. Keep going. No, how many inches of rain did you get in 4 hours?
Oh, I think it was Friday. I got 4 inches and a tenth in 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh, and whenever we were working, how about that lightning strike we saw?
Oh, the one that was like right in front of us?
Yeah, no, it's like literally 2 pastures over, 200 yards away maybe? It cracks.
He was like, yes, now let's go get the horses out of the metal trailer.
Yeah, let's go do that. We're surrounded by trees. And
we're up to our ankles in water.
And I get out of my truck, and I can see Merce kind of signal like, hey, lightning strike over there. Maybe bad, maybe don't do this. And I even give him a wave of the hand like, you wuss, it already struck. We'll be okay. And as soon as it strikes directly on the opposite side of where the other one did from us. So the other one struck to the north. This one struck like across the road to the south, 250 yards. And I said, nope, jump back in the truck.
You never see the one that gets you.
No, you don't. But yeah, so there's been a hell of a lot of rain. What is there actually a hurricane now?
Fiona, I think. I think it's still a tropical storm, but it's on the verge of. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably a hurricane.
I actually don't think so, because I'm certain the internet would have just had a field storm with like, bye Fiona. No, it's Felicia.
No, Fiona is Shrek's wife.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, she is. Whatever. 2022. Who knows? But so yeah, we got a hurricane on the way. But like, dude, this working cows, it's hard work. But something me and my coworker were talking about, it kind of relates back to the last episode. This used to be so immensely harder.
Yeah.
Like we got wooden pins made with pretty good wood that we got to just replace the wood on from time to time. We got a hydraulic head catcher, which like literally you're just mashing a little lever to catch cows and have them be still while you give them medicine and stuff. We haul them with trailers and trucks, and like me and James were talking like, you used to we were working with 4 people.
Yeah.
You used to probably have to work with like 12 people.
They had to put them in like a makeshift corral.
Yep.
And then just catch them or rope them by hand individually.
Rope the calf and drag it like away with a horse, and then do everything they need to do to it. And so much more stress, producing so little beef, and having to pay so many, not even pay, just divide. Like, you know, in Old Cracker, Florida, I don't even know what they were handing out for payment, but had to split it 12 ways. Oh, and then you go home and there's no, like, I got to go home to air conditioning at least. It was at 8:30 at night, but I could, when I laid down in my bed with my sheets and my blanket and my perfect little pillows under my head, I had to stick one foot out of the blanket, and I was like, ooh, let that get some of the air conditioner on it.
Yeah, no, it was. You go home back then and no AC and like mosquitoes, everything, no running water.
You know, I've heard, my dad said this once. So when I say I heard this, I heard it once from my dad. That they used to use dog fennels as some kind of
I've heard that
as anti-mosquito repellent. Like they
Right.
grind them into which none of us know what the technical name for dog fennels are, but ask any country person in Southwest Florida. They just grow all over pastures. It's a tall, like bushy weed that kind of has a foul-ish scent to it, but I guess they used to grind it up in a paste and smear it on them, and that would like mask your scent.
that would be miserable.
Your showers were creeks, and that's not
We went duck hunting on Lake Okeechobee one time and got out there and got all the decoys set up in the morning, and then realized we forgot the thermocells and the bug spray. We were all in the fetal position in the bottom of the boat till daylight and the wind picked up. It was miserable.
Dude, did I tell you about like my dad's people going down to the Everglades? Did I talk about that on the podcast? No. Oh, so dude, these people were hardcore. I'm visiting my grandma, my dad's mom, and they live like my mom's side of the family kind of lives on a ranch in a small town. I would have said grow up like kind of in suburbia, but they're not just suburbanites. They're just absolutely not. They're like hardcore mountain men that happen to live there. There's just no mountains in Florida. But no, they used to, I was over there visiting, and there's this, my grandmother's friend, I believe her name was Valerie, like 90 years old, but carrying on conversation. She's like, yeah, we used to go down Alligator Alley, pull off on a trail, and get out and walk around the Everglades. And she goes, oh, I would catch the mullet and break their necks and start the fire going while the men took dogs and horses. No, not horse, just dogs. And the dogs would run. They knew to run in a giant like arc away from everybody and scare the deer out of the swamp. And the men would wait with all their shotguns for just a herd of deer to start running at them and just start shooting.
Sounds glorious.
It's like we're going to go to war with deer today, and it's going to be like a uniform British battle. Oh, man. But to piggyback on our conversation last week, you know, the offsite of everybody being tough back then was, I think people were on average more horrifically cruel. Like, and you kind of had to be. I mean, you hear about people who were literally like abandoned at 12 years old in orange groves and their brothers died next to them and stuff. And
it was like survival.
And we were telling stories before the podcast of like old relatives of stuff, them having feuds and how they get angry at each other. And we hear some pretty wild stuff. And the crazy thing is you don't hear the worst stuff. The worst stuff you'll never hear because they kept it to themselves.
Or dead men tell no tales.
Yeah, or that. So that's and I wonder, you know, we've all seen the meme where it's like, hard times create tough men create good times create weak men. And there's like the obviousness to that of like, oh yeah, people get weaker and then stronger through adversity. But on the flip side of that, is there a mercifulness? Is there more empathy that grows as times get better? Because that almost makes me like sit back and go, hang on. Maybe this whole, you know, a lot of guys like to look up to the Spartans because they were like badass warriors and yada, yada, yada. But like, in order to be that like, I don't know, brutally savage and efficient as a warrior, you got to do crazy. Your culture has to do crazy things like swear your life to the state that you will die for it. And that any of your children, even if they're born with a blemish, like the abortion debate, hell with that. This is like you have a baby, and if it's got like the wrong kind of birthmark, it's like, hey, take that thing, throw it off a cliff. It's like, whoa. Is that a
spear practice?
No.
Like, yeah. Like,
oh, no, you throw
the baby.
Either way, that doesn't make it better.
Well, I mean, you got to pick a highlight out of it. I mean, you might as well make it constructive.
silver lining.
It's like, there's a small one, but you gotta try.
It's like, dude, you make these brutal warriors that, like, 300 can... Well, not 300, that's a little bit of a fib, but we're not going to get into that. But that can take on thousands of others, but it's like, on the other hand, how many of your own do you have to sacrifice in some kind of way to become like that? And sure, like we kind of... I was thinking about what we said last episode. When you were like, well, the stupid people or the whatever. And, like, in our head we have, it's almost when I hear people say crazy people. I think when I hear stupid people. It's like, well, we all know who's obviously stupid or crazy. But where's that line? Like, we all know people that are kind of crazy or kind of stupid. So it's like, the more tough or less merciful a society is, I guess the more that line is constricted to, like, nope.
Oh, there'd be rocks being thrown at us.
No, dude, well, dude, you go to certain societies still, they try to throw that around, literally. And it's, I don't know. There's no good answer to any of this. I'm just throwing new little sides on it. Like, we really try to be as gentle as, I shouldn't say as gentle, but as efficient and calm to the cattle as we can. In the past, they had no qualms about that. I'm like, all right, on like a universal life level, I think it's better that we're typically nicer to animals nowadays. But what if that's making us softer and weaker too?
Yeah.
Is that worth the trade? And I don't know, but I'm going to keep being kind of... I'm not like some pacifist, like I'm still going to kill a deer and eat meat and stuff like that, but... I don't know, just last episode's been playing around in my head, so I had to finish the rest of that thought out there.
I would just describe the previous generations as cold.
On the other hand, I was talking to my granddad about it, who lived on the side, not with the ranch, and, I was kind of describing our same thesis we were just talking about to him, like, back then it had to be so hard, and, people had to be cruel, and I'm sure just... beating your kids was just as commonplace as, like, not even spanking, but beating them. And my granddad, who was like a pretty stern guy, served in the military, one of these hardcore old guys. Yeah, very Gran Torino-ish. Like, it really fits the bill. And he says, like, without missing a beat, he goes, my parents never laid a hand on me. And I go like, what? And he goes, no, they didn't believe in it. And he goes, no, nobody in my family would. He goes, no, don't get me wrong. I knew what I would do. I knew if I did something, like, awful, they would. But no, they never laid a hand on me. That's when my grandma leaned in and goes, they should have beat him so much more. She's awesome. She's the best lady ever in the world. She's a character. Hey, did I ever tell the Grand Theft Auto story on here?
No.
Oh, this is great. This is like, so my grandma on that side is like sweet Southern Baptist, old school. She's 92 now, and my favorite memory of her, I grew up playing video games. And we grew up in the 90s where the, what's the rating system where it's rated G, rated PG, rated, what's the technical name?
I don't know that.
But y'all know what the parental guidance rating system. That was not a important thing to our parents, unless it was like NC-17.
Oh, mine was.
Well, yeah, Merce's was. They wouldn't let him watch Hercules. Like, God almighty. Maybe my parents just kind of didn't raise us right. Looking back on it, I'm like, no, I know about everybody I knew didn't watch, like, pay attention to that.
No, I think I was a little on the extreme side.
Yeah, I think I was on the other end. But, like, I remember watching stuff like Aliens whenever I was, like, 8 years old. And Saving Private Ryan. When that came out on DVD, I think that was one of the first few DVDs. I watched it with my dad, and I remember going like, "Oh, that's people's insides that are going everywhere."
Dad bought the box set of the Beverly Hillbillies on DVD.
So
it was black and white. That's what I was watching.
No blood, no. So like, my grandmother, who is like awesome, like takes me to the store, like it's getting close to my birthday. She goes, "Why don't you pick out a birthday gift?" I go, "I want this new video game, Grandma. It's called Grand Theft Auto 3. And she goes, "Oh, well, all right, go pick it out and get it." I go grab game. Go up to the, like, probably teenage GameStop employee. And he goes, he looks at me and looks at my grandma, kind of looks at the box, and he goes, ma'am, you realize this game is rated M for mature due to, he goes down the list. Murder, theft, drug use, alcohol use, smoking. Oh, he's a dweeb. He's and I, like, my heart's breaking in half. I'm like, shut up. Stop saying. And he goes down to, like, prostitution and all that. My grandma, God bless her soul, is like, well, it ain't nothing he ain't going to read about in the paper, is it? And I'm just like, you are, like, her one thing she did not want in a movie or anything we were watching to use the Lord's name in vain. And with damn behind it. That was her line of like, nope, we're leaving the theater. Can't do that.
That was her line in the sand.
Yeah, and she's like she's that old fashioned kind of grandma, and I think this is a universal human thing, like it transcends culture. Like you hear about this with Latin American families, with like the grandma that is like, you're gonna come to my house, and even if you just ate on the way here, I'm gonna overfeed you until you're stuffed, and taking a to-go plate. Anyways, back to Florida stuff, because that's like all of our episode today is just Florida. Hey, I was interviewed. Yeah, some. All right, this is wild for people that haven't checked this out. If you go to what I know, it's Welsh Nationalist. Is that it, Merce?
Not even close.
Not even close.
The Welsh Republic podcast.
Welsh Republic. I'm sorry, Welsh. I know him as Welsh. We're friends. We're on a first name basis. But no, he is a YouTuber that has some subscribers and a little bit of a bigger audience. And he reached out to us, wanted to interview me. And it was pretty wild. He is, so for those of you wondering what Welsh even means, that was like me up until a couple of years ago. So Wales is where the Welsh are from. And Wales is a territory of Britain, which is like right next to Scotland and Ireland, or no, England. My bad. And yeah, his family's from Wales, but he lives in New Zealand. And just on this like meta thing, first of all, the fact that he could, if you listen to him, he knows American politics. He knows them better than 95% of Americans. And that, but what can you tell me about New Zealand, Merce?
Kiwis.
Yeah, do you know what a kiwi is? Is that
a bird.
It's not a fruit?
No, it's a little flightless bird.
Oh, okay. Well,
it also lays the largest egg in proportion to its body size of any bird.
Damn, that's probably right.
And that's all I got on New Zealand.
I'm not gonna fact check that. What do you know about whales?
They're mammals.
Damn. The country, not the mammal.
That was where the Prince and the Pauper switched places.
Wow, you are a little Britannica encyclopedia. You're something, not an encyclopedia. It's one of those books that we used to order. Encyclopedia?
Yes.
That's it. No, so yeah, he interviewed me. We had a good time. Look up Welsh Republic on YouTube. He'll pop up, and the Bandit, and he's interviewed quite a bunch of other people. Asked me some fun questions. By all means, check it out. So there was that in Florida, and also in Florida, the governor and Republic Meister and King, Ronald DeSantis, decided to take some immigrants and ship them to Martha's Vineyard on a private plane. Now, there is so much to this that is just wild. And like, okay, the theme of season 2, and even like the last bit of season 1, I shouldn't say the theme, there's been quite a bit, but one of them I've been paying attention to is the conservatives playing offense, which is fascinating.
This could be like a forward pass.
Dude, it's so, all right. I've been to Martha's Vineyard. It's one of the very few places I've ever been. The girl back in the day bought me a ticket up there to visit her very small farm there that cost so much money. Like, everything there is so expensive. And I was so out of place. It was the opposite of City Slickers. I was the guy in yeah, it is a very expensive place. So, full of the most hoity-toity people. It's either hoity-toity or rich hippies and everything in between. But,
Hoity hippies.
Yeah, actually. One thing I will never forget, there's a Charlie Daniels song, Uneasy Rider, and one of the insults he makes at one of the people while he's acting like a conservative redneck, he goes, and he voted for George McGovern for president. And like, that's like a real bad insult. And the girl whose mom I visited, God bless her, sweet lady, but I saw she had like a bunch of old bumper stickers from like Democrat victories, and there was a George McGovern for president. And I'm like, I know that reference. Oh my God, I know that politician because of Charlie Daniels. Thank you, Charlie.
God rest his soul.
Yes. But no, so back on target, back on track. So Ron DeSantis acquired funding to get private planes, because it's not a national airport. You can only fly to Martha's Vineyard privately. And sent quite a bit of illegal immigrants up there. And that's... Okay, first, I'm just going to nitpick my one big nitpick with this. Because then I'm going to get to the good stuff. But, like, first of all, I have a bigger problem with the social welfare system keeping down poor people than I do with people crossing the border. However, given we got this horrid system, I get why immigration's an issue and I don't dismiss it. However, I don't like people getting shipped around personally, but I find it like putting my upfront feelings aside, like putting all that to the side. I find it a little odd that from what I read just like a quick headline and I didn't have time to like really digest and study it. Weren't they all immigrants from Texas?
Came somewhere.
Well, yes, everybody comes from places. But no, all right. So we actually took a look and I'm seeing that like, I'm just going to like quote the New York Times. It's seeing stuff like he did not shed light on who rounded up the migrants and had been processed by federal immigration authorities.
So he didn't just go to like Home Depot.
You
guys want to go on a trip?
Hang on. Here in a minute. I'm not sidetracking yet. We got to talk about the amazing racist from back in the Wild West of YouTube. Might have been Ari Shaffir. But anyways. No. So I'm getting kind of mixed signals from the media. So I'm going to talk about both sides. If he did, that they're claiming that he probably like Texas had illegal immigrants, and he was like, "Hey, as a Florida governor, Texas, give me some of those illegals, and I'm going to use Florida money to send them to Martha's Vineyard as a big political."
Picture like Dave Chappelle like scratches. You got any more of them immigrants?
And it's if that's true, and let's just play pretend that that's absolutely true, and that is the case. Let's throw me in it. That. It's like another one of these DeSantis things where I'm internally mixed, but I don't want my money used on Texas problem. That's my problem with federalism and stuff like that. And if he did it, or anti-federalism, it depends which time you're talking about. Anyways, I don't want my money used as a political slam dunk or to solve Texas's problems. I want my money solved my problems, nobody else's. And the more local it is, the better to me, all the way down to me as the individual. However, that's coming from such reputable sources as the New York Times. And left, right, maybe not so much center. We can all see them as, it's just ridiculous at this point, as far as the press goes. However, all that to the side, putting more of my feelings to the side if that's the case. What a ballsy move by a conservative. Oh God, if you're going to sit and
It's like the ultimate, put your money where your mouth is.
It really is. And Merce, what did Abbott do? The governor of Texas?
Oh, he shipped something to D.C., right outside where Kamala's at
in New York and
anywhere that's like a sanctuary city, they're like, all right.
Yeah, it's...
and Chicago.
Which... dude, if it's poor poor immigrants going to Chicago. Just like, what do I say? It's like, no, it's sup G around here. Pop.
It's like the Irish coming to America in the Civil War. It's just not good.
No, get out of here while you still can. Go get potatoes or tortillas or whatever your people eat. But no, like that. If anything else, I mean, my whole life and before that, you always see like the left wing is making big sweeping turns while the right wing is just like on its heels pushing back, like going, oh, no, don't do that. And then they take 2 more steps back. And now it's like, boom, the other way. And I'm not sitting here saying that that's going to lead to nothing but good things in the future and that, like, oh, no, the stakes are getting higher and higher. And this, just from my perspective, it's just far more interesting than it used to be. And, you know, I hear a lot of people complain about social media. Me, I'm a little bit of a fan of it because it exposes more of what we are. But, you know, these immigrants, and God bless them. Like, dude, I don't know. I'm a bleeding heart just kind of guy. I feel bad for some guy without shoes that's crossing a desert. Now, I'm not saying he should have my money, but I feel bad for him. And, you know, this dude shows up in Martha's Vineyard, what is probably the richest per capita place in the country, and the overwhelming amount of people there are left leaning or Democrat in some form. Not just Democrat, like that's like the right wing people there are Democrat. Like it is mostly way left wingers. And Merce, weren't you the one telling me that they shipped them out of there within how quick? Within 48 hours or something like that?
Oh yeah, they're already back at a military base.
Yeah, and like, dude, you have all this wealth. You have all these resources at hand, and you can't spread. You are definitely in the top 1% if you are living in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, I saw a thing as somebody tweeted like they're a member of like a social media group or Martha's Vineyard group, and they're all commenting about stuff. And the one person's like, I don't know, what do they need? And then somebody's like, well, you've got 2 rental houses, like they need housing. And then they're just like, did not reply, and it just started. Like, they're starting to, like, turn on each other because they're just trying to, like, oh, here's some stuff, and let's get rid of them.
Dude, and that's always been my question about, like, making everybody, quote-unquote, equal, like, on the, like, wage gap and all different kinds of wage gaps you can find. And what do they complain about a lot? The wealth inequality. And it's like, all right, you're driving home some, like, good points of, like, hey, how come this CEO can sit there and sip champagne while this guy's busting his ass and hardly making anything? We should redistribute that wealth. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can entertain that. But if that's the case,
I just say redistribute the champagne.
Yeah, whiskey.
Yeah.
But what about like Africans and people in third world countries? Like, shouldn't we then expand that redistribution of wealth to them as well? Like, what's a border to human suffering? But no, that's where that goes off the rails because you can't. Then we all, like your poorest American, loses money on that thing, including everybody else. But yeah, what a spectacle this Martha's Vineyard thing is. Speaking of spectacles, though, right before our podcast started, we started recording, Biden gave a 60 Minutes interview. And because me and Mercer are arguing over the legalities of actually showing an interview on here, we're not going to play it. We're going to let Joe look it up. But, of course, as you expect, Biden says some really dumb things. Like he's talking about inflation, and the reporter is hammering him. The 60 Minutes reporter is hammering him about like how bad inflation is, how bad costs are going up, which anybody you talk to will tell you that on any industrial scale, like it's going up, commercial scale, residential stuff like that. And Biden, like what, Mercy says, like inflation isn't that bad. It's only risen by an inch.
It's only gone up an inch.
Yeah, and it's like that's the gif of the whole crowd slapping their forehead. Oh, it's bad.
I'm just surprised he stayed awake 60 minutes.
But but no, I've really got to watch the whole thing. But I tell you, just from the very few clips I saw, what amazed me wasn't Biden, wasn't the guy that might be a mannequin that they're having a puppeteer operate for all I know.
Biden and amazing don't usually go in the same sentence.
No. What amazed me was the reporter asking him questions like this. And what
Not just tossing him easy questions.
And here's the thing. Here's what a lot of reporters will do. And I've learned this mostly from Dave Smith and Michael Malice. And this is one of those things, once you notice it, you really can't unnotice it if you look for it. So reporters at CNN and the New York Times and even 60 Minutes, I don't know, I think 60 Minutes is a little bit more hardball-y. They're known for being a little bit more tough than the other ones. But what a lot of times they'll ask a really hard question like, oh, you see it a lot with the new the secretary, White House secretary, black chick with the fro that's lesbian, and that's what they show off.
I don't think she's very smart when I hear her speak.
No, but they'll ask her a question, like a tough question, and she'll give some dumb, nothing answer of like, well, Biden is trying
She
very
can say a
hard
lot and nothing at the exact same time.
And here's how the press does it. After she says that nothingness, there is no follow-up question. Like, she doesn't even, if you listen for it, like, repeat their question in your head, what they asked her, and how her answer answers the question. Like, how it directly provides information the person was looking for. And it never does. Now, here's the thing. All conservatives stroking their chin hair going, yes, Bandit, we agree, of course. I've been noticing this for like 12 years on both sides. And, like, whatever camp you're watching the news from will only show you the parts that they want you to see. Like, even with Trump, now I'll give you this. Trump was, like, good at it. He was the best I've seen at it. They'd be like, Mr. President, some of your supporters are, like, questioning the vaccine. What do you think about that? You know, I did Operation Warp Speed that got us through, and it's like we were able to get this out to everybody, and it's good for everybody. Don't worry about it. I got one myself, and it's like, what?
You just got whiplashed.
It's like, yeah, but, you know, everybody has their... I'll tell you this, Trump seemed possibly unintentionally at times more truthful than the other ones. Like, I'll give him that. But back to the 60 Minutes reporter, when he's interviewing Biden, he not only goes like, hey, he doesn't say, you just said the word inch when we're talking about a recession. He doesn't go that far, but he's close. He's like, sir, people's gas bills have been exorbitant. The housing's going up. Everything's going up. Wages are staying the same. And that was like your response. And what, Merce? Like, he repeats the question 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And my meta-analysis of this is, why are they doing this to Biden now? Are they cutting bait? Are they... What is their backup plan?
None of us have one at this point.
And, like, here's my question. And every time I've heard people say this is the most important election of our lifetimes, I have laughed at it the past 12 or so years. This one might not be the most important. It's damn sure the most interesting.
I don't know. The Trump and Clinton debates are pretty golden. You can watch those with popcorn.
Okay, true. But we didn't know what was coming.
No.
We didn't.
No.
We had no idea. We were unprepared. Now
we were ready.
So, like, hear me out. All right, let's go down the scenarios. Biden's still in power, and he's still president, and the media continues to support him, and they try to keep up this charade. Charade. There's the English. They keep up the charade that we have a functioning president that is getting more and more hilarious as the weeks go by. They try to do that for, hang on, it's 2022. When's the election?
24.
Okay, all right. They do that for 2 more years and have him giving campaign trail speeches and all. All right. You have him, and if they decide to not go that route, they're like, oh, it's just almost looking like they're like, we got to somehow deal with letting him go and getting who?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris? And if not her, then who? Like, but it has to be her. Because what? Is the Democratic Party not going to pick the first woman of color as, like you were saying about Martha's Vineyard, they'll eat their own. Now here's the other hand. Trump running. I am personally I don't think he has as much support as he did in his first election. I still think he has a ton of support. I still think he has more than any Democratic candidate, if you want. Like, even now, even if Biden won the past election seemingly fair and square, like, I believe Trump has more support now than he did then. Just because Biden's done such a terrible job, and the Democrats have, and the COVID regime, and all of it.
Oh, in the interview, though, he did claim, though, the COVID pandemic's over. So, it's over, everybody.
Oh, boo! Like, trumpets blowing. We survived. Nope.
Yeah, I thought I would be dead, but here I am.
You know what? The COVID pandemic was, like, as awful as it was. Man, did it wake some people up. Man, did that shake some bushes of, like, oh, they're arresting people going to church. You can't do that. Yeah, but anyways, not going to even get down the COVID rabbit hole right now. Not right now. If they do put Kamala up there, oh dear Lord, is this going to be a what?
I can't do 4 years of her laugh.
Dude, no, not only that. Did you see the interview of her like 2 months ago? It wasn't an interview, it was like a speech she gave, and she's sitting down and she's like, I think she has like a brain lapse or something. Because you know how like you see the people self-identifying like it's an obvious chick, and she goes, oh, I'm a she, her, and it's like an obvious dude. He's like, I'm a he, him. She's sitting down, she has her mask on, she goes, I am Kamala Harris, Vice President, she, her, and I'm wearing a blue suit. And it's just like
I did see that. You're just like, oh God.
And like I think it's like your brain gets so tired of playing by those rules it just breaks these social norms they have to follow. So, it's going to be batting practice if she runs. Now here's my other question: does Trump run? We're all betting that Trump runs again.
I don't think his ego won't let him not run. His ego has to run.
I don't think so either. But here's my question: does he keep hiring the same damn swamp monsters to surround himself with?
I don't know. I don't know who the VP. I don't want to lose DeSantis in Florida.
No, stay, stay, just stay. don't go to president. Don't I'm not even hardcore conservative, but dude, yeah, I'll take your camp of keeping my daughter and son away from some of that stuff. Yeah, whatever. Please stay here and don't become president. Become president of Florida and leave it at that. But the last thing I'll say about like the possible election cycle is what if Trump doesn't run? Like, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. I mean, yeah, I'm if I was a betting man, I bet that he does. But what if
Bandit for president?
No, I don't. I don't want to be CIA'd. No, thank you.
I can't have power, so.
Nope. But what if, in this Mar-a-Lago thing, let's say there was something substantial. Now I was hearing the legal argument for this the other day. That's like Congress can't pass a resolution that says, like, this man is not allowed to run for president. Like, they can't do that. But let's say they did find something incriminating at Mar-a-Lago or something, which I doubt they did. They could get Trump to sign a plea deal that a part of it is
Get him on a technicality.
I'll get him on like, as part of this plea bargain, I will never run for president again. If something along those lines happens, what in God's name does the Republican Party do?
I look at it more as that just shows how scared they are of him. But yeah, I don't think the Republicans have a backup plan.
The more I think about it,
because I think the Republicans know so many follow him. If they don't back him, they lose their support as well.
See, it's not him they're scared of. It's what he's done to the American people that they're like, oh no, go back in the box. Please go back in the box. Go back to just how debates used to be and where y'all didn't question anything and y'all worked the little gears and the machines and never thought about where the wires led to. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Island. That always makes me think of that. Side note. Anyways, get out of here. After Trump, I mean, unless there are some new blood Republicans, what if that party just hollows out? Because, I mean, how many good Republicans can you count?
One.
Like, yeah, like it's few, and like if you are a conservative and you believe in conservative values and like how people vote is what's important to you, not just what they say, which they can lie out their ass about. And you're like, oh, who has voted consistently for conservative values? Me personally, I can think of like maybe 4.
Rand Paul.
Rand Paul, his daddy first and foremost, but we're gonna put him to the side. He's special case. Rand, Thomas Massey, like 2 others, versus how many members of Congress are there? Like the Senate, there's 100. Congress, there's a good couple of hundred. I'm not gonna Google it or look anything up. So, and all the Trumpers are more and more aware of that. And that's the part I'm here for. Not even like even the left wingers that are dissatisfied with the system, like Jimmy Dore. I'm very excited to see them just equally as much as the Trumpers. Which, all right, into our next subject. I talked about this, I think it was 2 episodes ago. I think it's when I was talking about how I love the idea of a communist redneck. Like just 2 ideas that normally don't go together. I was listening to this while I was driving the other day. And it's a Conversation Couch or something. It was a show I totally never heard of, never tuned in before. It got recommended on my feed. And it was so neat. The guy that hosted it was like I guess you'd call him like a really libertarian centrist. Like he's just really sympathetic to both left and right. And they had on there Jimmy Dore, who is an avowed socialist, but who questions everything about like big pharma, the CIA. He's very good at. Most Trumpers would agree with him about most things, even though he's a socialist. They probably wouldn't agree with his solutions. And they also had on there an anarcho-capitalist, Dave Smith, which is anarchy, but I don't want any government, and I just want to trade money and print my guns with 3D technology and hippity-hoppity, leave me alone and stay off my property. And you'd expect...
I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, look on Twitter. That's being sold. I didn't. That's not an original Bandit thought. I stole that from somewhere, like most of my thoughts.
Add to cart.
Yes, but no. And here's the thing: you hear that lineup, and you expect like, oh, they're gonna have like a big debate, like what's better, capitalism or socialism, and the ethics of one and the other, and the economics of it. And no, they genuinely just mostly agreed on stuff. And that's so cool to see these opposite ends of the political spectrum go like, oh yeah, the American working class is getting screwed right now. Oh, absolutely. It's because of the big government's tie with the big corporations.
No, they're not even getting dinner first.
Exactly. And something so nice to hear this. He's a lefty, like hardcore. To hear him say, which I've hardly heard any lefty say, he goes, that's the nice thing about like the anarcho-capitalist, libertarian, basically, was going on about the Fed, the Federal Reserve, and the rates. And Jimmy Dore, God bless him, goes, you know what? I agree with you about the Fed, but I will admit that it's mostly in faith, because you libertarians know your money and your economics and all that. He goes, that's a mystery to me, and I'm going to have to, believe you on that. He goes, I think the solution is we need to get money out of politics. And that's when Dave Smith brought this ringer. And this ain't a debate. This is like just an exchange they're having. Dave goes, well, here's the problem. There are laws right now designed to keep money out of politics. He goes, like, for example, it is illegal for Saudi Arabia to donate money to a political campaign. It's illegal for a foreign country to do that. That's influencing elections. However, they can totally donate money to the Clinton Foundation during the time that Hillary Clinton is running for president, make a large sum of money, and just so happens that Hillary Clinton will pass laws and bills that benefit Saudi Arabia and their ongoing genocide in Yemen, along with other things. And that's the thing about these laws, and I hear this equally from conservatives, from righties and lefties. Me and Merce were talking about this earlier today. It seems like both want a government control structure to stop the spread of the other. Like, I want my people in charge of this force to keep these people I disagree with away from me in any way possible. But my problem is, like with Jimmy Dore, he wants money out of politics. Even if these laws are passed, even if these institutions are made, the money will find its way into politics, just like if the right makes an institution, the left is good at taking over institutions. So many of what are progressive institutions today started out back in the day as very conservative, like American patriotic movements brought about from the progressive era, which was very big on America first, and the Western world was, the best part of the globe, and yada, 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 all that good stuff. Which I don't disagree with them on all of it. I just disagree with them on using the government to do it, because it always just turns nasty. And with that, it's time to be what I call constructively racist. I guess technically we are, because I've wondered this question out loud the other day. Merce, who are the toughest people to exist? I mean, by that nature, we are being a little racist because we're judging people based on their group, where they're from. But no, brass tacks. I'm going Russians.
Like, of all time or currently?
Oh, man. Your brain had to throw a twist into it. All right, if we're going currently, I'm going Russians, man. They work in, like, broken glass factories. They're monsters. They're not like monsters like they're tough. Like, every bit of Russian history I read, it's like, oh, and here's the 100 years where we killed the other half of Russians. And then we had, like, 50 years of peace. And then we stopped, like, communism. By the time that pops up in the 1900s, it's like their fifth time around of just killing each other. And whatever's left from that, whatever has adapted to survive all this brutal civil wars and all that junk, yeah, they're tough. Every time I see a Russian, I don't watch a lot of UFC. Every time I see Russians, I'm just like, what a terrifying person. And do you ever see the Russian dash cam videos?
Oh, yeah. Road is road.
Dude, you'll just like see two guys getting a fender bender, and just like in the same manner that I would just go grab a saddle or a rope or something like that, the guy just reaches in his trunk and grabs an axe and is like,
saw that video.
all right, time to start fighting the guy that just hit me. And I'm like, oh, that's your road rage? Us Americans have nothing on you. Oh, such hard people. Even their language is hard. It just sounds...
There's a lot of like weird R's and C's.
Oh, so many.
Have you ever seen their cursive?
No.
You can't distinguish one word from the next. It just looks like a bunch of cursive C's.
Dude, what? Oh. And like, have you ever met a Russian?
We had an exchange student in high school, remember?
Oh yeah, we did.
I don't know if she was actually Russian, but she was some Slavic,
Balticish, somewhere in that region they don't really teach us about in school.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I remember I was intimidated by her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like, what? Are you from the Deutschland? Like in high school, I had no frame of reference of how to communicate with her. That wasn't built off of American TV. So Merce, who's your pick?
I'm gonna go with the Inuits.
Okay, all right, yeah, wow.
Just from the fact that it's cold as hell, but even in modern times, they still choose to live that way and be cold as hell. I couldn't do it. I don't do like if it's below 70 in Florida, I'm in a parka.
Same. I'm thin-blooded. But like did they know if they just kept going south that things would eventually get warmer?
Well, see, it's a Arctic Circle, so they've just been wandering around.
No, that makes sense. That's, yes, dumb Inuits. Or Eskimos, or whatever the political, northern Mexicans, I'm not sure.
Yeah, a little bit racist.
Yeah, a little bit racist. They're tough, though. They're tough. Like, we're giving you positive reviews, people.
Yeah, no, it's...
We like the cut of your jib. We don't want to fight you. But yeah, and by the way, that's what I was going for with tough. Like, not hardest working or anything like that. Like, if you had 100 of their people versus 100 of anybody else, bare knuckle fighting, who wins?
Oh, then you're going to take drunk... I'm going to take a drunk Irishman any day.
Oh, over Russians? I feel like versus a drunk Russian on vodka.
Versus an Irishman on whiskey.
I feel like the Irishmen would start fighting each other.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If it's a 1-on-1,
all right, now
that's gonna be an interesting fight. If it's 100 Irishmen versus 100, the Irishmen are gonna fight.
No, all right. Now we throw a new twist on this. Let's throw alcohol in the mix. All 100 people are drunk. Now who's winning that fight? Like I would have said Russian, but now honestly, if everybody's drunk, my money's on Mexicans.
They're just gonna party.
Yeah, but they fight, dude. If you fight 100 Mexicans, it's like 1-on-1. There might be something there, but it's 100 versus 100. They throw down, dude. Especially, I'm thinking of wasted. I'm thinking of like barely able to walk.
We're gonna need to do a Twitter poll.
We are. This is gonna be interesting. But if you're talking about drunk,
100. Okay, what 100 drunks would be unstoppable?
Oh, hang on. All right, I would not say this about sober. The 100 group of these sober, but drunk. I'm gonna go with English. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
That's my have because I don't know. I'm basing that on Guy Ritchie movies, and the bare knuckle boxers are normally drunk. That's where all. By the way,
just 100 Mickeys.
Yeah, pretty much. That was my thought.
They're gypsies.
That's where all of my frame of reference for anything English or British. I saw that in Snatch one time. He seemed pretty tough.
I like dags.
Yeah, that's where probably the Russians are coming from. Is from what is it? Rock and Rolla?
Yeah.
With the two war criminals. All of my frame of reference is from movies and not my mother's geography
Everything you
lessons.
know about Britain is from Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. No, I met one English guy that would come over and he loved coming out to the ranch and shooting guns. And that was my favorite gift in the world to give to somebody, was the experience to come to America and fire guns with an American. You remember him? He was Josh's friend, Aaron. His dad was a travel agent. We partied at his condo.
Maybe. I don't remember offhand.
Anyways, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, okay. I'm settling on Mexicans. You're right to question my likability of British drunks. Question anything British.
I'm just gonna go with the Irish just because they're battle tested. As long as we can keep them pointed forward and they don't make eye contact with themselves.
All right. Next modifier on this fight. Let's throw controlled substances into it. Take out the alcohol. What group of people you throw in? What about the German warfighter specialty? Methamphetamine into it. What country is winning that fight on the high strung out drugs? Or what subgroup of people? Let's go with that. Doesn't have to be from a specific country.
West Virginians.
Yeah. You ever watch the Wild? But movies again, Wild and Wonderful Lights of West Virginia.
They're coming after you with catalytic converters.
Oh no, dude! After staying in Detroit for a week, I might bet on Detroit white people. Not a week, but a night. My bad. I was in Detroit.
Can this be how we just settle all wars? We just take 100 and
like our 100 most tweaky prisoners, and it's like y'all go fight the other 100.
Yeah, it's just.
But well, hang on. We already know the answer to this. I didn't even mean to lead to this, but of course it's Florida Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Florida Man, and
he just comes running with bath salts, eats 100 faces,
and alligators and dragon's breath rounds and all of it. It's definitely Florida Man, and that's actually what we're saving for last tonight, people. Murph's been doing a little bit of homework. We heard some people wanted this segment back. So he's looked up some Florida Man stories from this week, and he's going to read them out and just give my reaction. We're going to live talk about it, get our reaction out of it. So, number one, Merce, lay it on me.
This one was from 6 hours ago on Fox News. Headline: Florida man accused of starving dogs drinks detergent to avoid jail.
Hey. Florida man who was starving dogs
drank detergent to avoid jail time.
How does that get you out of jail? Is he trying to claim insanity? Is this where Tide Pods leads our generation?
I don't. Yeah, but see, he's old enough. This wasn't even a pod.
But this is a podcast. Hey, I did one of those. That was fun.
More than it should be, right?
Yeah, it really was. You're still not. We gotta limit yours. I don't like them. But all right. So hang on. So guys starving dogs drinks detergent to avoid jail.
Yeah, apparently after they took the dogs, because he left them starving he had an unopened bag of food in there and let them starve.
So, like, he's got 2 dogs in a room.
Essentially torturing them.
With a,
So after they rescued the dogs, they went back to arrest him, at which point he started chugging laundry detergent to try it so that way they'd have to take him to the hospital instead of jail. But
then you're going to jail after the hospital, unless you're dead, which, hey, I mean, what a terrible way to die. Ugh.
Really clean out your insides.
Like, I'm surprised there's nothing about drugs in the report, and this guy doing all the meth in Florida.
Well, if you look at his mugshot, it definitely looks like there was probably some drugs involved, but it doesn't mention that.
Can I see it? I know you people listening ain't going to see it, but I need to see it. Oh, he looks like
methed out Santa.
He looks like he took the words out of my mouth. His name is Joseph Farkas, and he looks like the old man of the mountain of meth. Yeah. He looks like he's 80, but probably 40. So, all right. The first one's depressing about dogs dying and a little funny because drinking laundry detergent. Merce, what's headline number 2?
Florida man accused of crushing truck with excavator assaults woman for not having drug money.
All right, so hang on. We have a man crushing a woman's truck with an excavator for no drug money. Does it specify the drug? So this is going to be like, how justified is this?
No, but it says he was arrested on multiple charges, including criminal mischief and domestic battery by strangulation.
Dude wanted his... So she had his money, or she had his drugs, or didn't give what to him?
Apparently she couldn't get him his money for drugs, or couldn't get drug money. When she couldn't get the drug money, he assaulted her, and then drove off in her truck, and then smashed it with an excavator.
Dude, pay your drug dealer. Don't do that.
Verbatim from the article. Once the victim went back to Kelly's Stone and Sand Boulders, Charlotte County deputies said...
Oh, Charlotte County?
Yeah, right in Charlotte County.
That's right in our neck of the woods.
Charlotte County deputies said Hamilton was seen laughing hysterically and smashing the truck with a bucket of an excavator.
Man, you know what? At least he can be happy about his revenge and laugh about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, honestly, probably like a very bad person to society. But like, the spectacle of it, I love.
He's like, Mwah!
Yeah, just like he's seriously.
But like more methy.
Yeah, much more methy. We got any good mugshots that we can describe?
I mean, I wouldn't want to run into him.
Oh, yeah. Imagine... Like he would be.
I'm pretty sure he's got like an SS tattoo on his neck.
Yeah, I was about to say he would be a skinhead, but he's just a little too lazy to keep it clean. Lazy eye, and
he's gonna get out and murder us.
Yeah, he's a handsome Chad looking fella.
Yeah. Nice guy.
Can't blame that guy at all. You know, someone owes you money, it drives you crazy. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's understandable, Mr. Zelensky or whatever your name is.
And moving on, the next one starts off with "I had to fight" in quotes. And then Florida man survives in swamp for 3 days after losing arm to alligator.
Dude, where's this at?
Miami City, Florida.
Homeland. Yeah, dude, my brother told me about this. I think it was Little Lake Manatee, or he drove by it. An insane story. But the guy got his arm, just from what I remember, got his arm bit off. And was laying down in a swamp, like half paralyzed, maybe withdrawing from drugs or something. That's how my brother made it sound.
This guy said, he said he was swimming for almost 3 hours in the lake, and then he looked over and saw the gator's eye, and it bit him.
And it bit his arm off?
Yeah, went down, went under.
Probably did its
gator
roll.
tried to, it says bones poking out of his arm, bleeding, scared to death. Oh, yeah, then they got a photo of him. He got a nub.
Well, and is there something about 3 days?
Yep. Murda, I guess his last name, spent the next 3 days trying to find help as flies swarmed around the open wound on his right arm.
Oh, my God.
He survived by eating flowers and drinking handfuls of muddy lake water.
And lots of shrooms. That's how he was able to stay in the woods for 3
power
days.
lines trying to get out of the swamp. Most of the nights he slept in water 3 inches deep. He finally made it to a barbed wire fence, and he found a bystander's able to call for help.
All right, maybe we're tougher than we thought. Goodness gracious. And yeah, we're looking at a picture of him, and he's methy. Well, I don't know, maybe.
Or it looks like he just had his arm ripped off
No,
in swamp and water for 3 days.
True. I guess anyone looks a little rough after that. He's smiling.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, it's more of just a looking off in the distance.
Cold
like
stare.
the feeling like when you lose your phone.
Hush. I got it destroyed in cow pens, and I was a little upset. But anyways, I think we got time for one more Florida man story, and hopefully not as gruesome as dogs dying or guys getting their I don't know, guy getting his arm ripped off is pretty cool, but not dogs dying. Something better than that.
Well, how about Chick-fil-A employee fights off Florida man trying to carjack woman?
Fights off.
Yeah, so I don't know if the Chick-fil-A guy was from Florida, but the guy doing the carjacking was definitely Florida man.
It's just this story could have been a lot different if the word "fight" was replaced with something else. Could be a romantic story, but so hang on. So
a Florida man is behind bars after Okaloosa County deputies say he attempted to take a woman's keys and steal her car in the parking lot of a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, heroic Florida. Wait, it's heroic Florida man versus bad Florida man.
Well, we don't know. If necessarily the guy.
The Chick-fil-A's in Florida, right?
We would just, but we don't know if he's from Florida.
Okay.
But
definitely the guy that tries to do the carjacking is from Florida.
Yeah.
Well, they made sure to mention that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, press.
Yeah.
That's near Jacksonville.
No, near Panama City.
Oh.
Fort Walton Beach.
PCB, baby.
Yeah. Also explains it.
Yes.
I guess the victim was removing a baby from her car when 43-year-old William Branch approached her, wielding a stick and demanding her keys.
Not a baby. Wait, wielding a stick?
Yeah,
the dude carjacks her with a stick?
Just a stick.
Dude, this Biden economy is hitting everybody. Even carjackers are reduced to sharp pointing stick. How medieval of him.
Yeah, just...
Dude, yeah, if there's drug fight 100 from every place, Florida man's winning.
And then, yeah, y'all can look up the video online because a Chick-fil-A employee literally runs in to intervene and tackles the guy to break it up.
And hey, I'm not trying to say anything. We all know it's because it was Chick-fil-A.
I thought at the end he was like, my pleasure.
Yeah. Dude, did he do it while he was signaling her around 2 different drive-ins?
Well, it looks like he's wearing like the parking lot like safety reflective.
And he was like, not on my watch. God bless this chicken, and he put me on a mission.
Yeah.
How awesome. All right, good ending to Florida Man story.
Well, Florida Man was the bad guy, but still a wholesome.
Yeah, I like it. Florida Man was vanquished. The chaotic evil of that.
Should have brought
Florida
more
man.
than a stick.
No.
Well, no, because it would have been a sad story if he did.
Yeah, so thank God for this good stick control laws that we have.
The irony is the guy's last name was Branch.
Dude, no, I didn't catch that.
I'm dead serious.
No.
I'm not even making the pun. William Branch, and he used a stick.
God bless this stick.
Maybe he just comes from a long line of stick wielders.
Maybe
That's how they got the last name.
They're like, instead of Highlander with swords, it's the branches with sticks, and they just whack the shit out of each other.
Florida man.
Well, guys, we're gonna get close to wrapping it up tonight. We've ran out all through it, and I'm tired, and I gotta wake up and work more tomorrow. I feel like I end every podcast with that, but it's been very true here recently. However, one last little stickler I'm getting off my chest now that I have
Stickler,
yeah. That I'm getting off my chest to my mostly Saudi Arabian audience, it would seem. It's really odd. I can't wrap my head around that. But in Bandit's Music Corner tonight, a segment I just made up, I'm going to talk about the most under-recognized country artist of all time. And just based on 3 songs, and y'all need to go check them out. It's by Mr. Tom Russell. And if you're going to hear 3 songs by him, it is Tonight We Ride, which is one of the best Western ballads ever.
Have like make sure you're ready for that song.
Yeah, it's about...
It's a good song, but by the end of it, you're going to be like doing like partying or going off to do something epic.
Maybe robbing a bank.
Yeah.
There's that. There is Love is Like Stealing Electricity is the name of the song.
Da-da.
And he is, you really need to experience the song.
There's no way to like You just got to hear it.
You got to hear it. It's perfection. And lastly, Tijuana Bible. Just 3 of them that really... I look at this guy's views on YouTube. He's like a singer from, I think, the 90s from like New Mexico or Texas. And every time I hear Florida and Georgia line with popularity, I'm like, it should be Tom Russell. It just should be. And we all, don't get me wrong, we all know underappreciated artists like Waylon and the... Name any of like the outlaw country guys that are doing the modern thing in Texas, like Sturgill Simpson or the Dead South or something like that. But no, Tom Russell is where it's at. And yep, it's late. We're in there tonight. Y'all folks have a good week. We'll catch you next week with more of the Bandit Radio Hour. And remember to follow us on Twitter. All of these I'm about to say is at Bandit Radio Hour. Bandit Radio Hour is a part of the name or all of the name. But we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're now on Facebook. You can watch us and listen on YouTube. We don't have any live video yet. YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, RSS feed, Spotify, Stitcher. And once again, a shout out to the Welsh Republic. Did I get it right? Did I get Welsh's channel right?
Yep.
Great. Check out his interview with me and a lot of other interesting characters. And he asked some very good questions. It's definitely worth your time. And all y'all folks have a wonderful time. Bandit out.